King Charles gives heartbreaking speech at the D-Day commemoration event as he rejects Prince Harry openly. The air was thick with emotion as King Charles III took the stage at the annual D-Day commemoration event in Normandy, France. All eyes were on the monarch, whose expression was a solemn mix of grief and resolve. As he began to speak, the crowd fell silent, captivated by the weight of his words. "It is with a heavy heart that I stand before you today," the king's voice rang out, "to commemorate the sacrifices of those brave souls who fought for our freedom on this hallowed ground." A hush fell over the crowd as they listened intently, their own memories of the war flooding back. But the king's address took an unexpected turn as he addressed a sensitive issue that had been dominating the headlines in recent weeks: the rift between the royal family and his own son, Prince Harry. "As we honor the legacy of those who gave their lives for our nation, I must also address a matter that has caused great pain and division within our own family," the king said, his brow furrowed with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "It is with a heavy heart that I must announce that Prince Harry will not be joining us today. Despite our repeated invitations and efforts to reconcile, he has chosen to remain absent from this solemn occasion." The crowd murmured in surprise, their faces etched with a mix of sympathy and confusion. Many had hoped that the royal family would set aside their differences for this momentous event, but it seemed that the rift had only deepened. "I know that many of you have been following this situation closely, and I understand the desire for answers and closure," the king continued, his voice wavering slightly. "But I must ask that you respect the privacy and sensitivity of this matter. This is a time for us to come together, to honor the memory of those who sacrificed everything for our freedom." As the king's words hung in the air, the crowd listened with rapt attention, their own emotions mirroring the gravity of the moment. Some wiped away tears, while others nodded in solemn agreement, recognizing the pain and complexity of the situation. "It is my sincere hope that, in time, the wounds within our family can be healed," the king said, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. "But for now, let us focus on the task at hand, to remember, to honor, and to ensure that the sacrifices of the past never be forgotten." The audience erupted in applause, their voices mingling with the sound of a lone bugle playing the haunting notes of "The Last Post." It was a moment of profound sorrow, but also one of unity and resilience, a testament to the enduring spirit of a nation that had weathered the storms of war and emerged stronger for it. As the ceremony drew to a close, the king made his way through the crowd, shaking hands and offering words of comfort to those whose lives had been forever altered by the events of D-Day. Despite the personal turmoil he was facing, he remained steadfast in his duty, a beacon of strength and compassion in a world that still grappled with the legacy of that fateful day. In the days that followed, the king's speech would be analyzed and dissected, with pundits and commentators weighing in on the implications of his words. But for those who had borne witness to the moment, the lasting impression was one of a leader who, despite the personal challenges he faced, remained committed to honoring the sacrifices of the past and leading his nation into a future marked by healing and reconciliation. As the sun set on the beaches of Normandy, the king returned to his residence, his mind no doubt heavy with the weight of his responsibilities. But in his heart, he knew that the true measure of a leader was not in the accolades or the headlines, but in the quiet moments of courage, resilience, and compassion that defined the true essence of leadership.